Thank you for listening to Lone Star Community Radio. This program was broadcasted and recorded live from the LSCR studios in downtown Conroe, Texas. Lone Star Community Radio is supported by listeners like you. Donate and sponsor today. For more information on getting involved with Lone Star Community Radio, contact us at lscrstudios@gmail.com or visit us online at www.irlonestar.com.
What you are listening to is a special edition of the Audience of One show. This was recorded at an earlier date and then dropped in when we are either unwilling or unable to do a regular show. So sit back and enjoy another episode of the AOO show. So I was driving in traffic on the way over here, as I usually do. Traffic's always a bear. Seems like it gets worse every year, especially with population growing in this area. And the guy in front of me starts to change lanes, and he's unaware that there's another car in that lane. And he just proceeds to lay on the horn. The guy in the opposite lane just lay and just will not let go. Right?
I like those kind of people.
So, and it was completely unnecessary, right? All this guy had to do was kind of go, doot, hey man, you know, you're coming into my lane. He obviously wasn't doing anything erratic. He wasn't driving irresponsibly. It was one of those things where he just started to change lanes. Someone was in his blind spot, and the guy just decides to just let everyone know he had a problem with this. You ever witnessed this where somebody just honks completely unnecessarily long?
I don't have that problem. I just brandish my gun, dude.
That's right, at every four-way stop.
Yeah.
But it did get me thinking.
Think about it. You know, what I like about those kind of people is this is why we should never have gotten rid of dueling.
Okay.
So, because what I love is how necessary that is, but you know that person who's honking is so upset for the next 30 minutes.
Oh, yeah.
And
they were probably upset the 30 minutes prior.
Yeah.
And they were just taking it out.
What are you thinking in my lane?
So it did get me thinking. There's like 3, maybe even 4 different types of honkers, right? There's the person that just kind of does the, doot, hey, man. You know,
That's me.
That's to let somebody know, hey, you might bump into me. That's typically the courteous, which this guy should have done. And then there's the slightly elongated, you know,
like, ding, ding, ding.
Like, hey, you don't see me. Hey, dude. You know, that one. And then there's the third one that this guy falls into, where you just kind of you drive up next to him, look at him while you're still on the horn. It's like, come on, I got it, dude, I got it.
Well, I really like people who tailgate.
Is that your favorite kind?
Those are my favorite kind of people.
Why is that?
Because it's one of those things going like, man, you really are bored. Like, why would you want to spend time tailgating this guy? Why don't you worry about passing him?
Right. Yeah, use your time more effectively and actually go around. Some people just don't even realize that they're on people's ass, I think, sometimes. They're just doing it because they don't know any better.
Well, I drive down a one-lane road.
Space blindness.
I drive down one-lane road, and I see it all the time. And I'm like, you can just go around this guy. Like, it's unnecessary. You're going to teach him how to drive faster?
Yeah. And just like 3 feet behind him. It's like, dude, just go around. Yeah, that is a good point.
And that's the beautiful thing about the internet, man. You can just find those rage videos. And I'm like, man, that stuff's wild to me. Like,
I think there's a 4th type of honker now that I think about it. This is the person that does like excited honks like during songs that they like.
Yeah.
Yeah, I had a buddy of mine in college who was like that. He'd really have something going. He liked he'd he'd do that trick where you hit the brakes and the truck starts moving.
Yeah, totally, dude.
It looks like you're really going to the music along with the beat. That guy was awesome. He was a lot of fun. So something really
Sadly, he died.
Yeah, no, and he's actually still alive. That one actually is still alive. I did have something really interesting happen to me just a few minutes ago.
Yeah,
I told you I was going to tell you about this.
I saw you, and I'm like, what's happening?
Yeah, I stepped outside the studio because I had to relieve myself. As one gets older, Dick, what happens is you have to make water more often, and I fall victim to this exact cause too. So I step outside, and there's this old man out there, and he's got old man build. He's skinny, but he's really tall. And I'm just going to say he had a little bit of crazy eye to him, right? And he's just wandering around out there. And he says, hey, what's in that room? Meaning the studio. So, well, that's the radio station. Oh, what do y'all talk about? I said, oh, it's, or what? No, he said, what kind of music do you play?
Goop and pee-pee.
And I said, well, it's talk, and it's local talk, but it's also country music. He says, Is it conservative talk?
Oh, I love it. Yes. Did you tell him
And
absolutely not?
And I don't know if you noticed, but he was carrying about a 7-inch blade knife on his side there. I could see
Oh,
it.
not a handgun.
No, not a handgun. Those are prohibited in City Hall, but apparently you can bring in a small hatchet, which is exactly what he had. And I'm looking down at it and I'm thinking, do I want to just outright lie to him and be like, oh, yeah, dude, we are ultra right-wing conservative? Or if I want to be like, no, we can't talk politics, and he just whips that knife out at me, like, start talking politics. That Kamala's not good for this country.
Kamala.
I was kind of freaked out by him, man. And immediately he starts talking, mumbling something about a hotel in the city. And I'm just like, yeah, I've got to go now. It was kind of weird, man.
Yeah. I like those kind of people.
Yeah, I bet he tailgates too.
I bet he does a lot of that.
You think he's a short honker or a long honker?
Long honker.
He's a long honker.
No,
yeah.
he just gets his knife out. It's like,
Yeah. Yeah, dude, I don't know if he was lost or not. I don't see him out there anymore. And I am going to say that he was probably harmless, but as he was walking towards me, asking me if we talked conservative radio, the thought did just cross my mind to lie and be like, yep, sure do. Just don't knife me, bro.
don't knife me. Well, I'm sorry you had that encounter.
Yes, I did. I survived, though. I survived.
He's probably outside waiting for you.
No, don't say that.
He wants to know your conservative views.
Got any yard signs?
Yeah.
We talked about that serial porch pooper. Actually, hold on. I'm going to go back. When he did ask me what we talked about, the thought did cross my mind, one, of lying to him. But then I also thought, do I want to tell him that we talk about like serial poopers, porch poopers, and people eating ramen through a squeeze tube? Probably would confuse his brain, his old man brain, just a little bit. So I did withhold from telling him what we actually talk about. But we did talk about that serial porch pooper last month, I guess it was, right? And this was the guy that went around dropping his drawers, taking a number 2 on people's porches. And I think at the time we discussed, would you rather have a serial tinkler or a serial pooper? Well, I got to thinking about this further. Yes, this is what I think about when I'm
in your 2-hour drive.
in my 2-hour drive, my commute here as I'm fighting traffic. Is it possible to do a number 2 without just at least some number 1?
Yeah, we were talking about your age a couple episodes ago.
I mean, because we said, would you rather 1 or 2? But sometimes when you do the 2, doesn't the 1 always just accompany the 2?
I think it's all about concentration. If you're just trying to get it out, there could be mistakes happen. There could be a lot of boners, and
Merkel's boner,
or
yes.
a lot of Merkel boners. But I think if you have stage fright, and you could probably make it work. Now the odds are you might have a little front leakage.
That's what I'm saying. Have you ever done a 2 without at least some number 1 coming in there?
Yeah.
Really?
Yeah.
I don't know that I have.
Especially like when I'm in the woods hunting. Like you would kind of know if I'm peeing all over myself.
Well, if you're doing a number 2, my assumption is your pants are going to be down, so it's not like you're going to get any on you. So, I mean, just might as well go.
Well,
Why would you not?
Because you're also being really careful when you're out in the woods. Because you're not in your normal habitat pooping. You're not sitting on a seat. You're kind of like adjusting yourself next to a tree, and you're like trying to brace yourself.
Okay. All right. I don't know that I could do 2 without at least
Which is
some.
hilarious to me.
Which means the serial porch pooper was also a porch peer as well. This is my point.
Oh, okay.
This is what I'm getting at. It's impossible to do the 2 without the 1, so he was basically making all kinds of mess.
I like it.
Yeah.
I mean, what a great neighbor.
Isn't it though? Nick, I know you're growing your hair out. You've been growing your hair out for, gosh, what?
I think a year.
A year now. And your beard too, but I noticed that you've trimmed your beard. It's much more professional.
Well, yeah, people are giving me some. Oh, there's your buddy.
Oh, is he back?
I'm looking at it. That's not a knife. That's a phone, dude.
No, unless that phone is in the shape of a machete.
That's a big knife then.
That is a large knife. That's what I'm saying.
Oh, he's complaining. He found the superintendent here. He's complaining about something, and that poor soul's like, I don't know. I'm not in control.
And he's pointing inside the studio right now going, and they don't talk conservative talk. And the guy's going to go, what? Not them. Those guys talk about porch pooping. Of course, not them.
Of course. That's an epidemic here in Conroe. I love it, dude.
So anywho, since you're growing out your hair, I'm thinking that the percentage chance that you're going to be asked what your pronouns are. Have you ever been asked by someone that you just met what your pronouns are?
No. I don't think I've ever asked.
Yeah, you actually almost look like you're disgusted, like you're pissed off that someone hasn't asked you.
Well, I'm thinking
Am I he, him?
I don't
They?
I don't really put myself in scenarios that allow that kind of question. I did have those things where like you're filling out a form, you have to put that, and I'm like,
No, it's
do I
optional.
have to?
No, it's optional, man. I'm sure it's optional. But I just think like if
Well,
someone were to ask me, excuse me, yeah, hi, my name's Andrew. Nice to meet you. What are your preferred pronouns? Are you telling me that you don't know what gender I am? That's kind of what it seems like. No, they're probably just trying to do it to, make you feel comfortable, blah, blah, blah. But at the same time, that thought is like, why do you need to know? What about me doesn't tell you what my pronouns are? Because to me, it should be fairly obvious.
I thought you didn't like political talk.
This isn't political. When I was in high school, I had long hair, and at the time, I was working at a restaurant.
He does have a big knife.
I told you, dude.
Oh,
Yeah.
I like it.
I was working.
That is a phone.
I was working at a restaurant, and I walked by a table. I was a bus boy, not a bus person, but a bus boy.
Boy.
Boy. And someone said, "Excuse me, ma'am," because I had long hair. I turned around, and I'll never forget this. Instead of saying, "Oh, I'm sorry," I didn't mean to call you ma'am. They stopped for a second, went, as if, even by me turning around, they still weren't sure. Is this a man or a female? At that point, I think I cut my hair shortly thereafter. So no one's asked you, huh?
They asked if I was Jesus.
Radio Jesus.
They just said, "Are you Jesus?" I'm like, man, maybe I am.
I had never thought about it.
Never thought
But now that you mention it,
Yeah.
there was that incident earlier where all of a sudden I broke some bread and everybody was full. It was crazy, but I hadn't thought about
Well,
it.
I mean, like in college, my hair was pretty wild, and everyone thought I was a pothead, which was great.
Okay.
Because that actually was. There were several occasions people asked me if I sold pot, and I was.
Is this the look you're going for?
Well, no, I mean, I look just like I look now, basically, like in college, and so I always laughed about that. I'm like, I wonder what would happen if I'm like, yeah, just give me $20, I'll bring it back.
Just never
Whatever.
bring them back.
No.
You know what would end up happening? Get your ass beat. That's exactly what's going to end up happening. That
Yeah.
or some poop on your porch. That doesn't. You know what? People don't tend to like to pay for things and not get the product that they were promised. That's just drugs and or otherwise.
Yeah.
Yeah. Speaking of college, it seemed like. Oh, go ahead.
There was a funny scenario in Austin when I went to that South by Southwest, and they put on my ticket, "Hit him, he," or whatever. And
But see, hold on. Did you tell them
no,
that?
I didn't.
So they presumed.
So I kind of laughed about it, and I was like, I wonder if somebody
Excuse
actually
me.
went to the ticketing information, because they had that place is huge. And I'm like, I wonder if someone actually went there and complained about that, because I can see somebody in Austin complaining about that.
Yeah. I could see that. Yeah, Austin's a type town. But again, what if they put the wrong pronouns? That's just as bad as not putting any.
Yeah. Well, I mean, like, again, when you're working customer service, that's one of the greatest stories are born from that. Because you're just kind of like, this is wild. People are trying to honk at me for a long time. But no, I never gotten any bad feedback. Like, I remember doing bowling shoes, and they come in female sizes or male sizes.
Oh, yeah. Oh, gosh. Can't
And
do that
assuming
anymore.
that kind of stuff, it could be a tricky game.
That's why. What size do you need? A 7. And you kind of point like this side or this side? Which one?
Well, what I do, if like say a family comes up and they all have long hair, I just grab men's sizes, and when they come up, like, oh, this is too small, and I'm like, okay, cool, what size? So I don't go for girls or guys. It's like, just tell me a size and I give it to you. If it's wrong, I'm getting issues.
Or you could just grab them in size reflexively. No, just always kind of err on the side of caution and be like, oh, I'm going to grab them in. You throw it down, and the person says, I think those are men's shoes. You go, oh, sorry, I didn't know. And that way, it looks like an
that's what I'm
honest
saying.
mistake.
That's what I do.
But in reality, you had no idea this person's gender.
Well, the best is doing the fast food intercom stuff. Like if you go to a bank or something and you go, "Thank you, ma'am," because I always say "Thank you, sir" or "ma'am," and it's like, "Oh, sorry, I'm a girl." I'm like, "Okay."
I've had that where they're like, "Thank you, ma'am." Pull around. I'm like, that was awfully presumptuous of
Well,
you.
what I do though, if I am mistaken and I get up to the window, I'm like, "Oh, you're a dude," and he's like, "Yeah."
How do you make it really obvious?
Yeah.
You make it really
Well, I
obvious?
immediately tell people I'm an idiot all the time.
You unzip and be like, look at this. Look at this.
Look at this. I'm about to poop on your porch. No, I always call myself an idiot if I make a mistake. I'm like, don't just ignore that. I'm an idiot.
Okay.
I'm a boner.
You are pretty stupid. Dick, do you play any musical instruments? I don't know that I've ever asked you this. It seems like every kid who was white and went to college in the 1990s, although you didn't go to college in the 90s, played the guitar. It was just like, welcome to university, white man. Here's your guitar. And you
No, you know what I did? I probably, looking back, made the worst mistake. I loved photography, right? I still love it.
first mistake.
But I bought a brand new shoulder camera. Like
Okay.
it was like one of the first HD cameras. Awesome. And I used to carry that thing everywhere because it was big and you could get really cool shots. And I was playing with it. And then I realized, I bet every girl or guy saw me filming everything. Like, what's this guy doing? Because it wasn't like you're just with a little camera like your phone. It's like I had this shoulder thing.
Right. The official one.
And they're like, oh, you're just being a perv.
That's not a musical instrument, though. Do you play any musical instruments? No, none. Zero. You didn't even play like the recorder when you were in the 3rd grade?
No, unfortunately, in my upbringing, there was 5 older siblings, and I always like to tell people
Playing the younger
my
sibling
parents got
victim card.
tired of doing the involvement part of the developmental process,
Didn't seem to affect you at all.
and well, actually, I got away with a lot more stuff.
No
And-
way.
Well, because like for example, everyone always played sports in our family. Like that was part of the thing. You had to do something after school. That was a rule.
Besides drugs. Uh-huh.
And well, it's to keep drugs out of my life.
That's right.
And I remember when I was like 8, my parents signed me up for soccer without really even asking me. And after like 4 weeks of it, I go, "Do I have to do this?" And they're like, "No, you don't." I'm like, "Okay, cool." And I got out of that one
that
real
was-
fast.
Minimal,
but
minimal effort.
But if it was the first kid, I guarantee, like, no, you signed up for, like, you're doing this stuff. I'm like,
This builds character, teaches you valuable life
yeah.
lessons. How you need to work hard for this. Dick says, "I don't want to do it." All right, fine.
yeah.
No lasting effects on you. Well, I wanted to find what some
yeah.
of the most unattractive musical instruments were to play, and I couldn't find
Probably
that
the
list.
organ.
But when I found, you play the organ?
No, probably the organ.
Okay. What I did find, though, was a
there was-
list of the sexiest instruments.
Well,
And wouldn't you know, a poll conducted by 60 Minutes in Vanity Fair in 2014, and again, it just says in 2014, asked 1,017 American adults about their musical preferences, including which instruments they think are the most attractive. And of course, the number one winner was the obvious one. 26% of respondents said the guitar is the sexiest instrument someone can play. I don't know. Again, I wanted to find most unattractive, but couldn't find any information.
It's got to
on
be
it.
the organ, or it's got to be, I mean, like the triangle.
Right?
I could see that. But unattractive.
What's the squeeze box? The accordion?
No, see, that'd be wild. So, like, that would be kind of interesting.
I think
it's got to be.
I
Like,
think bagpipes are kind of cool, man.
well, because like the reason I said organ is you can't transport that, and the only time you could show it off is like you're in a church.
Mm-hmm.
So it's kind of like it's not. It can't be that sexy because you don't really see the organist most of the time. So it's like, yeah, you only know
It's
you
like Phantom
exist.
of the Opera.
Yeah, and so yeah, I would probably say the organ, and
Make yourself
the
known.
kazoo. The kazoo would probably be not very sexy because it makes a terrible noise.
Do you think there's such a thing as a high-end kazoo? Because it seems like the only kazoos I ever got were at the school fair,
Yeah.
and they had a little piece of wax paper that only lasted about 5 minutes, and then they got moist and didn't
Maybe
work.
the flute.
Is there a high-end?
Maybe the flute's not that sexy.
Yeah, but for a male, you mean? Again, here we go.
Yeah, well, I'm putting myself like.
Well, it says the saxophone came in second place
I can
as
see
the
that.
most sexy instrument. Didn't say it beyond that. I imagine I could dig in here and find them, but
Yeah.
interesting. So I do play the piano. I also play the guitar. I don't know if any of these other instruments really count, though. But I did play like the trumpet and the baritone when I was in junior high school, beginning part of high school with band. I don't know if that really counts, though. I think to me it's like if you're in the band and you continually play it after band, it counts. But if you only play it in the band, I don't know that that really counts. I think you got to do it outside of band. That's just my opinion.
I guess. I don't really know. I don't know anything about music. So.
It says another study found that musicality in and of itself is indeed attractive. The people who can play musical instruments are perceived to be attractive by the opposite and same sex.
Well, it's because people think you're intelligent.
Yes, aren't they mistaken? So the Oakland Athletics.
Well, let me ask you
Wait,
this.
yes.
Going back on the music stuff. So
Okay.
What interests me about people who can play music is you get the people who just thought, like, oh, I want a guitar, and I just taught myself from YouTube. But then you get the people who actually know how to read and write music.
Yes.
They're in another class of themselves.
Correct. That's next level.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because
I can read a little bit because I took piano lessons, but I'm certainly not nearly as good as I once was because I was doing it all the time. But I do have the ability to read some.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's good for you. Like if you play the guitar really well, and I'm like, you're awesome. Can you read music? No, you suck.
So this is interesting. It says results once again differed across genders as men didn't necessarily find women presented as musicians to be more attractive, but women did. So I thought that was kind of weird.
Yeah.
But anyways, it says, although they were inclined to take them on a date. Okay, so as I was saying, the Oakland Athletics, a storied historical baseball team, is moving to Las Vegas, and they thus played their last game at Oakland Coliseum against the Texas Rangers, in which they did win. And it's kind of a sad note because that organization has been run into the ground over the past several years, had bad problem with attendance. Unfortunately, again, like I said, a very historical, storied franchise that is coming to an end. Well, also this past week or a few weeks ago, they released some new merchandise on their website. And this one, I think, is just a shot maybe across the bow at either ownership or what. But they released a hat that says A's, A''S, and then with multiple shadows of that behind it. And I'll be darned if the hat doesn't just say
ASS.
Ass. That's right, everyone. It's an ass hat. Are you showing the picture?
Yeah, I'm showing the picture.
I actually love this hat. And you were there the other day when I asked one of our, I guess, mutual friends, or at least acquaintance, who is an Oakland Athletics fan, if he had purchased an ass hat, and he said they were sold out. And this article that I have here from Yahoo says that basically the hat was pulled despite presumably the very high demand. Yeah, can you imagine? I would want one. This is going to be iconic, especially knowing that the memorabilia is going to be gone. They're not going to be making any more.
Yeah.
One of the last ones they do
Are they not going to be
on their
called
way
A's?
out.
Do they even?
I don't know. That's a good question. Even if they are, I bet the colors are going to be different.
Because they're moving to Las Vegas, right?
They are.
So they'd be cool if they're called the V's. Las Vegas V's. Or B's.
Why is that funny?
I don't know. It'd be kind of funny, like unoriginal. Because sometimes, like, what I love about these new sports teams, like when I think it was the most recent NHL one was the Krakens.
Mm-hmm. Those are cool.
But I was like, that's like a fantasy thing.
Yeah, it is.
It's kind of fun. Like, they're actually going for it. But, like, the A's.
Yeah. Well, it says the hat is intended to show the team's logo casting a, quote, shadow of sorts, resulting in the appearance of doubled letters.
Cool.
The placement, though, as we can see, made it appear as it simply read ass.
I like it.
I love it, man. I wish I could have gotten my hands on that. Oh, I had an accompanying article here about Americans playing musical instruments by certain ages, but we're just going to fly right past that. Were you aware that the state of Florida, about 8 years ago, launched a new series of license plates? And then, states will do this from time to time. They release groups of blocks of letters and numbers that go out at certain times. And, you might see a bunch of ones that come out that say, JMK, and then some numbers. And you'll see a bunch of them. And all the cars that are around the same age, maybe it's a 2024 car, will have, at that time period, these JMKs. Well, in Florida, back in 2016, they started issuing license plates that started with the letters GAY. Dick, what's that spell?
Gay.
It certainly does. So, apparently, not everybody was too happy about that. The weird thing is, though,
I think it's hilarious.
The weird thing is, when you get a license plate like that, if you don't like it, you can't just go and return it and say, "Can you give me a different one?" It's like, no, you can't. Like, that is your license plate. And I guess they do that because they hand out so many of them. They can't have people, picking and choosing. They'll never get through this process. I seem to remember one time, though, buying a car, an older car, and they had a stack there right at the county office, and picked it up, and I think she went through a couple of them, and she comes like, "You like this one or this one?" I seem to remember, but they all started with the same couple of letters, and none of them were any better than the other. But that was the closest thing to being able to choose a license plate that I've ever had. But Yeah, man. So would you go along with the gay license plate?
Yeah, I'd be happy to have that on my car.
Very happy, would you?
Yeah. You like that?
It says earlier this month, Craig Lucas, and this was again from 2016, and his partner purchased a new Volvo, and the new license plate read Gay W13. And he says, "Is this for real?" Lucas asked the dealership employee about the plate. According to them, it was, and he asked if he could get another one. The dealership said, "I'm sorry, I think every plate we've got has the word gay on it." And these folks were indeed of the homosexual persuasion, and they did not want it on there, which I thought was interesting. I figured, straight guy, like, "Oh, I don't want that," but if you're gay, you're like, "Yeah, look at that." But no, this man did not.
I would want mine to say GAYYYYYYYYY.
Why? Why?
Because it would be gay. That'd be great. Or we should get AO.
Well, it says representatives at the Florida Department of Highway Vehicles said that they weren't recalling any of the plates, but anyone who receives one and wants to return it can. So in this particular case, they did make an exception.
Good.
Yeah.
Good for
I don't know.
them.
I wouldn't want a gay plate,
Good for them.
man. Yeah. Yours just say dick cheese.
Yeah.
This is really
Oh,
this is a
yeah.
really interesting story. A couple sees a stranger break into their home on their I guess the app for their home security, which I suppose is a scary thought. And I imagine that happens quite often. You're out to dinner with the missus and boop, you get an alarm on your phone. You look in, you're like, "Oh, someone's stealing my gay license plate. They're breaking into the house." Well, this guy apparently broke into a home and then just proceeded to take a shower, sit down and have a snack and eat, watch television right there on their couch in their living room. It says a Tennessee
Pretty
couple
wild.
says they caught a man taking a shower in their home while they weren't there, and the incident was captured by their home security cameras. While at dinner, the Nardis, I guess that's their last name, got a notification on the camera app that there was movement in the house around 7 p.m. Saturday, and they assumed it was one of the dogs. So they were shocked to see when they opened the door, it was a stranger sitting on their couch, and he had made himself at home after showering in their bathroom. But they were scared that their fur babies were in danger. I'm like, this guy don't really care about your dogs. He was probably half-baked out of his mind, had no idea what he was doing. He was sitting naked on their couch. Now, here is the question I have for you. Do you keep the couch? Naked man sitting on the couch breaks in. I don't know, man. I'm thinking I'm getting rid of the
You
couch.
overthink it too much. What's great is you'd put that on Facebook Marketplace and be like, "Hey, we're the guys at the naked guy site. You want this couch?"
Do you think that helps the value of the couch?
Oh yeah.
Some weirdo like you, "Oh, I want that couch." You're over there sniffing it.
Yeah, dude, I'm sniffing it.
Well, to make sure there's no foul odors like smoke if it was in a smoker's home. What did you think I was talking about?
Yeah, all right. Go for it, dude.
No, I don't think I could keep this couch, man. I'm getting rid of it as soon as I can.
Yeah.
Every time I looked at it, I'd be like, this is where that naked guy was, right here, man. And this is my spot. This is where I watch my shows. And it's still got an indent on it from his stuff.
There you go. I like it.
Well, the Nardis say the cleanup has been difficult. They have disinfected their room, thrown away the towel the man used, and bleached their shower, but they still feel uneasy. Yeah, man, it's kind of weird. I mean, now think about it, though. It's not any different than purchasing a home that someone else lived in there. You know they showered in that shower.
Yeah.
But it's just the fact that this guy broke in and did it without their knowing.
And they had it all on video too. I think that's the greatest thing.
But it gets better. It says, as he was taking a shower in my home, he left some excrement behind.
What does that mean?
Yes, he decided that it would be a nice present for the homeowners, I suppose. He took a dookie in the shower, man.
Oh, what a baller, dude.
What did you think I meant?
Well, I mean, like I thought that was like a calling card. You know,
Where the wet band is.
like he uses the toilet and just doesn't flush, and like kind of messes with your brain. Like they're never gonna know someone was here, but now they will because I took a dookie.
Well, that's why the cleanup was difficult, and they had to use a lot of bleach because he ended up leaving.
Oh man, I love it. Just the idea that you have to deal with that is bizarre to me. It's like,
Oh,
I mean, that happened
man.
one time. I was living in what I call
Too
it
funny.
the fraternity house in downtown Houston, and we found someone took a dump in the living room. And that was like
This has been a fecal-heavy episode. I'm sorry, onesies. I'll try and do better in the second half.
But no, that was like
no promises, of course.
That was a real story, and I'm still amazed by it because we used to have people come where we lived was like centrally located where all the entertainment was, so everyone would come to our house, and then we'd leave our house and go to the things. So some weekends we'd have like 10, 15 people meet us there, and then we can walk or whatever.
Yeah.
And yeah, one morning it was just us after one of those nights, and I'm sitting there, we sat on the TV, and we're on the couch, and I look over to the corner, I'm like, is that poop? And then I went to go wake up my cousin, and I'm like, hey man, did you like poop down there? Like, so I think pretty sure someone pooped.
Not on purpose.
And what was funny, it was we had the debate of leaving it there, so we could we get people over, and like, whose poop is this?
Can you identify? Oh my God. Okay, it's a pretty good time to take a break. When we come back, we're going to talk about some very interesting graveyards. Stick around, everybody.
Every Friday, tune into Texas Ticket on Conroe's 104.5 and 106.1 FM with Armando Nino of Gull Lake Conroe, focusing on Montgomery County area events and places. Get a feel of the Texas spirit at the event, paired with guest and vendor interviews, event coverage, and ticket giveaways, and so much more. Join us Fridays and punch your Texas ticket. For more information on the show, visit irlonestar.com/Texas Ticket.
You're listening to the Audience of One show. Boo, 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 boo.
God, we really got to have some better sound effects.
Just trying to get excited.
Yeah, we're gonna have to do something. Add some applause, maybe some laughter. Got to have some canned stuff in there, not just you going pew 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 pew. Oh, I mean, look, it is cool. But
irlonestar.com/AOO. Donate and sponsor today. We're here every Friday at 10 a.m.
Hopefully.
with a new show on podcast, YouTube, Facebook. Just look up Lone Star Community Radio and Audience of One show. All right, onesies. Let's get back to the second half of this episode.
Dick, have you ever found yourself in one of these situations where you're being offered like a list of items? Like, let's say you're at a restaurant and the guy comes and starts offering you an option of like maybe 3 or 4 different wines.
Yeah.
And maybe they're in like increasing price order. I don't know. And you have no idea which one to choose. So he goes through, number 1, we have this Malbec from, Southern California. This one is a Shiraz from the Valley of Australia. And and they're naming this off. And you really have no clue. And by the time they get to the last one, like you can't remember all the options. So you just go, yeah, I think I'm going to go with that second one. Because you don't want to say the first one, because then it sounds like you don't know what you're talking about. Yeah, that first one. Yeah, like you didn't even consider the other ones. And you don't want to say the last one because it looks like you weren't paying attention to the guy and you just picked the last item that he said.
I've never been this.
So you just kind of go, yeah, that second one sounds pretty good. And you're hoping that he doesn't ask specifics about it because you can't remember the name. You ever found yourself in that scenario?
No.
God, that happens to me all too often. I'm just too embarrassed to be like, I don't know. I don't want to say. So I'm just like, third's good too, I guess. Yeah. I don't know. Maybe that's a problem with me, man.
That's a weird scenario to bring up right at the beginning of the show.
Because something right in the middle seems like you're being thoughtful. You've given consideration to all of the different wines or items that were offered to you.
I'd be like, I don't want any.
Now that's actually a good play too. You can be like, no, actually, I don't care for any of those. Do you have any other choices? And then if he says, well, we got a Bud Light, I'll go with that. That's actually a really good play, too. I hadn't considered that. Because you're right. In my scenario, you are obligated to pick from one of those 4 items. I like your scenario where you go, no, sir, none of those appeal to me. When in reality, you have no clue.
Yeah.
You going to make it the whole second half here, buddy? You're rubbing your eyes like
hungry, dude.
You're rubbing your eyes like a toddler.
You're talking about food. I'm like, man, I'm so hungry.
You're rubbing your eyes like a toddler that's fighting off a nap.
Fall asleep in my cereal bowl.
All right, man. We're going to talk about destination weddings. I know that you are going to a wedding. Where is it at now?
El Salvador.
El Salvador. That's good that you now have properly identified the country that you need to be going to. So I have been invited to several destination weddings. I think I haven't gone to any of them as far as I know. And it's one of these things because it's expensive for the people to get there usually. Now, in your case, getting to El Salvador isn't too bad, but it is still going to be more expensive than, say, going down the street to the First Baptist Church if your buddy gets married down there, right? In these situations of a destination wedding, do you still feel like you have to bring a gift? Or is your presence enough of a gift?
I don't care.
Well, okay, so let me ask you this. Are you going to bring a gift
No.
for your destination wedding? Well, I think that answers the question. Actually, would you bring a gift to a wedding if it was down the street?
No.
I'm asking the wrong person here, man.
Well, the gift thing is really funny to me because
Good God.
well, because like especially with outside the destination wedding thing, like being married before, I love the gift registry because I remember the conversation I had with my ex, and I was like, I don't really need anything. Like
Yeah.
we literally have everything you would need in a home. And like I remember at one point we had like 3 sets of dishes, and I'm like, why do we have 3 sets of dishes? And
Because people bought them for us.
yeah, I know.
Yeah.
And I'm sitting there going like, what is this? And there's no logical way of giving gifts. Like, I guess I'd rather have cash.
Yeah, I definitely cash is always the best thing to give. Well, based on an international study of 1,000 people who attended at least one wedding in person in 2023, says the average cost per wedding guest was $580, an increase of $120 compared to 2021. So it's expensive to attend a wedding, and those costs go up for destination weddings. And so that's why it's like, man, if I'm already paying all this money to get there, and then I got to rent a tux or a suit if I'm in the wedding party, and then on top of it, you want me to get that blender from whatever, what is it, Target or wherever they've registered at, it starts to add up, man.
Oh, for sure. And it's just one of those things that I never really bought. I when I do get a gift for somebody, we've already talked about this on the show, where I pick it out for them.
Right,
outside
I'm
of
going to
the
go
registry.
off your list.
Yeah.
Screw
I
you.
don't wanna buy
I'm
you
not
a-
going off your list. I know what you need better than what you want. That's
Yeah.
right. The average cost to attend a destination wedding for those who drove out of town is approximately $680, and guests who flew to a wedding reported an average cost of $1,600.
Yeah.
Man, you got to really like your friend. And I do think it's kind of a ballsy thing to do to ask your friends to go to a destination wedding. I mean, it is a little...
Well,
It's a little look
in
at me
this
as,
scenario,
you need to drop everything and make travel plans for me, please.
She's from there, so her family's there.
'Kay.
So to me, it's not like a true destination wedding. Meaning,
Yeah.
like we're not going to Hawaii. and
You're
we're-
right.
Like no one
If
knows.
someone you know lives in that town and it happens to be out of town for you, that's to me not considered a destination
Yeah.
wedding. So let's say they live in Georgia and this is your buddy from high school and you get an invite. And you're like, oh man, I hadn't seen you in 20 years, but it's nice that you're inviting me to your wedding. Now I got to fly to Georgia. That to me is not a destination wedding because they live there. And maybe in your case, that's what it is. Well, although you said she's from there and doesn't live there. See, that's
Yeah.
the key. That's the key there. Still seems like a destination wedding to me.
Well, for me, it is because I'm going on vacation. I'm treating it as a vacation.
Yeah, you are.
That's what I'm doing.
Okay. Just don't come back with any communicable diseases,
Well,
please.
I want to see how many
Wrap it up is what I'm saying,
boxes
okay?
of bologna I can get over
Smuggle
here.
as much bologna.
I want to see
Some
that.
El Salvadorian bologna.
Yeah, dude, totally. I love it.
Just don't introduce any diseases over here to the States, please.
Well,
Keep all that stuff down there.
Well, one thing I love about the situation I'm in with these kind of weddings, because weddings are always so much fun, right? But
Parts of them.
the ones I like to go to is I have no obligations to anything.
Unlike the people getting married.
Well, I meant more of like I'm not in the wedding, I'm not,
Right.
and so you're
You're just there
basically-
to tear it up.
You're like all they go is, hey, just be here at 7 p.m. And I'm like, we'll work on that. You're asking a lot.
Pants optional.
Yeah.
Well, it says the average wedding gift spend is, would you like to guess how much the average wedding gift cost is?
$75.
Not bad, but you missed it by half. $150, which is actually $10 less than in previous years. Yeah.
That's expensive.
This gift wedding cost per guest changes depending on the person's relationship with the happy couple. Close friends typically spend $170, family $160, wedding party members $160, and a guest date plus one, 140 as a casual friend. Wow. Still, all of them relatively close in price there.
Yeah.
And then there's also a note here. It says in fine print and it's italicized, Dick Schisler spends $0.
Well, it's funny. Like for my wedding, I spent a good.
I'm here, guys.
I
I'm here.
I spent a good chunk on my groomsmen's gifts.
Yeah. Okay. Did you get him a belt buckle made from the prison?
No, I got them a monogram suit travel case. Like how you can travel with suits.
Yeah.
So, because it was one of those.
Because people wear suits all the time.
Well, it was one of those weird things where the price of like renting a tux. I found a place that would get you a suit for that price.
You know what you could do? Seeing how the prices in El Salvador are relatively low, you could probably travel to El Salvador and have you a custom tailor-made suit, really, really flamboyant, for cheaper than you can rent one up here.
Yeah. We'll see.
And look, baller, man. Baller.
Well, my groomsmen were giving me trash about it. And I'm like, yeah, but you spend an extra $40, you get to keep it.
Have some roses embroidered on the.
Yeah, we got.
Oh my God, the inlays you could have on that thing.
Oh yeah.
It'll cost you like $30.
Yeah.
I had this weird experience happen to me the other day. I was pulling into a parking lot. Actually, it was the PetSmart parking lot, and they were doing a pet adoption, and therefore it was packed. And parking was at a premium. And I mean, I'm backed in there going, oh man, I'm not going to be able to find a spot here. And I'm just going in to get a can of special dog food for my highly sensitive skinned dog that I have. And I got lucky because right as I was about to turn onto the last lane, and somebody was backing out. Now, where this parking space was located in relation to where I was turning was very, very sharp. I was not going to be able to make it in all one fell swoop, around the corner and into this open spot. So as I let the person out, I thought, I'm just going to back into this spot. It'll be significantly easier for me to do that. But then I looked in my rearview mirror, and of course, there's a person behind me, and a person behind them, and a person behind them. And I thought, the second I go 1 inch past this spot to try and back in, that person's going to take the spot, right? They're not going to let me. Are you doing something funny? Okay.
I'm listening to you.
Okay, they're not going to let me.
Imagine you in these stupid scenarios that you overthink.
So I had to do the thing where I turned, and I knew I wasn't going to make it, back up, do 2 or 3 times before I got in the space. But it got me thinking about backing up into spaces in general. Do you head in park or back that ass up?
Back that ass up.
Do you?
Yeah.
Why is that? You're backup guy, backup parking, reverse parking as they call it. Am I overmodulating the mic?
That's what I was looking at.
Okay,
but
sorry.
No, it just depends on where you frequently park. Like here at the garage, I always back in because it's easier to get out.
Okay.
So, but if I'm like at a grocery store, I'll pull in.
So it's easier to get out, and I would agree with that. But isn't it just more difficult to park in the first place? You're not. See, to me, the people who say, "Oh man, it just saves so much time," I'm like, did it really? Because to me, it takes more time to try and back in than it would to just pull in the first place. You're going to make that time back up on the next time you pull back out. To me, it's 6 of one, half a dozen the other.
Yeah, but you're also dealing with a more controlled environment if you're backing into the spot because you can already kind of see everything. But like when you leave, there might be chaos.
Correct.
And you got to back
From
out.
a safety standpoint, it makes sense because you figure there's probably not going to be a small child in the parking spot. Thus, when you back in, you don't run the risk of hitting it. But when you're backing out, there absolutely could be, especially if you're in a parking lot. From a safety standpoint, I get you. But this is more from an efficiency standpoint. And also, most times, people aren't going to let you do it anyways. The second you pass that spot and then stop to back in, the person behind you is right on your ass. And you're like, dude, I'm trying to back in, and then they can't, and then you end up having to miss the spot altogether. Yeah. Well, for some drivers, reverse parking takes up too much time, disrupting the flow of traffic, and that's the way I feel. But in reality, it can save a few valuable minutes when you're ready to get out of the parking lot. I, again, disagree. You're just making up those minutes on the front end and not on the back end.
Whatever. I like backing in.
You like to back it in,
Yeah.
Huh? All right. Back it up. Let me begin.
Okay.
Are you aware that in China, there is a massive bike ride sharing graveyard. Have you seen the aerial footage of these
No.
bicycle graveyards? It's pretty fascinating. Well, some of these piles, the smaller ones, have like 40 or 50,000 bikes, but some of the larger ones have over 200,000 bicycles in them. And what this, gosh, my mic sounds like it's really buzzy. But what this is it's from the ride. Can you still hear me? Yeah, the rideshare businesses that popped up over the years, and there was this mass competition between these rideshare companies as to which one would take dominance, and so they oversaturated the market, and when there's really only the need for one or two, what happens to all of those bikes? Well, they end up in these massive, massive piles of graveyard sites, essentially. And I don't know if you want to show the picture,
Yeah,
but
I'm trying.
what I find really fascinating about them is they've kind of put them into colors. It sounds like some very Chinese thing to do, in my opinion, but you'll see like a whole swath of like yellow and then a whole blue over there. And that's just basically the different companies. I'm sure yellows are for one company, blues for another. But it's really, really interesting, man.
Yeah, it reminds me of the cities like Austin that have like a river or a lake, and people were throwing their lime scooters in it.
Just chunking them?
Yeah.
Oh, my gosh. You like those Lime bikes, by the way?
Not really.
They're kind of cool.
They're
I think we
fun.
talked- I
but
think we
they're-
talked
they're
about it
dang-
before.
I just every time I read a story like, there's like over 100 of them in the river. Interesting.
Yeah, no, it's pretty interesting. Something along the same lines here. Have you heard of Ponyhenge? This is a massive, mysterious, and ever-growing graveyard for rocking horses
Yes.
in Massachusetts. And again, probably a cool picture to show, but in Massachusetts, someone decided, I've got this plot of land. Might be a good idea to just take old and abandoned, rocking horses, toy horses, and put
Yeah.
them out there for people to look at. But it is the weirdest deliverance-looking thing I think I have ever seen. It says Ponyhenge is significantly less ancient than the English rock monument from which the name derives, but the roadside rocking horse graveyard in Lincoln, Massachusetts dates back to only 12 years ago or so. But like Stonehenge, its creation and purpose are shrouded in mystery. It's so weird.
Some people collect things.
Yeah, I know. I guess you put it on the side of the road. Have you been to like the Cadillac Ranch? It's out there in East Texas, kind of somewhere in the Midland, Odessa area, I believe. And Cadillac Ranch, I should have looked this up, is exactly what you would think it is. It's old Cadillacs. Probably don't have the engines in them. It's probably just the bodies. And they're stuck in the ground with their hood or tail first, sticking straight into the air and arranged similarly to Stonehenge. And people go out there and spray paint on it and ride on the cars. But I made a point to pull over and visit Cadillac Ranch the last time I was out there. And that's what this reminds me of, except this is just a little creepy because it's, rocking horses.
I like it.
That's all you got? Did you look up Cadillac Ranch?
Yeah, I did.
Where is it located? How close was I?
It is. I'm looking at the pictures. 1 second.
It said, according to the Atlas Obscura, toy horses started appearing in the small New England town in around
Amarillo.
2010. Amarillo. Oh, man. So that's not East Texas. That's North Texas. Why was I thinking it was out Midland, Odessa? See, this is why I had you do some research on
You're
the
welcome.
fly. Yeah. The first one was a toy that was discarded in the field on the side of the road. That's one of the theories.
Yeah,
And
they just started collecting.
And they were
them.
like, there's one. How about two? And then 3 and 4. Would you make it a point to go see Ponyhenge?
No.
Okay. How about Goophinge?
Goop, 100%.
The jade stones
Yeah, the
stacked.
jade stones.
Stacked.
That's where you bring your
10
used
high.
ones. That's where you bring your used ones.
I guess the candles would melt in the heat, so you couldn't do that.
Yeah.
But the stones, yeah, baby. That would stay nice and strong, huh?
Yeah, it's amazing what people do with their time.
Yeah, it says the crowdsourced art installation is constantly changing. Sometimes the horses are arranged in a circle, like their Stonehenge counterpart across the Atlantic, and sometimes they're simply lined up side by side as if prepared to race. I think if you were in charge, you'd have them humping each other. Come in there one time, this horse is on top
Oh
of this
yeah,
one.
100%. I'll be human centipede stuff. 100%.
Human
I
Centipede.
see. I
Dude,
see no problem with that.
did you see that movie, by the way?
Oh yeah. You see the second one. I think the third one's even more.
So I
like it.
haven't seen them. It's one of those weird pop culture things. I'm going to guess the first one came out around 2003, 4, something like that. We're talking about the movie Human Centipede. Oh my gosh. I never saw it, but it was such a pop culture.
2009.
Oh, was it really that late? It was such a pop culture moment that I feel like I've seen it because I know far, far too much about it. And if you don't know, onesies, what Human Centipede is, do yourself a favor and look it up, but be careful. You might be disgusted in what you find. This is basically a guy who sews one person's face to another person's rear end in an attempt to make a human centipede.
Well, I mean,
And it's like a faux horror flick, right?
it is a horror flick. Like I want to say it is, but whatever. I mean, it's one of those weird movies that people like to go see.
So in that scenario, would you like to be the first one in a 3, the middle, or the guy at the end? You got to be the first one, right? That guy's getting all the benefits of the centipede and not any of the bad stuff. The first one, right? I mean, it sucks that you got someone sewed to your ass, but at least you don't have...
I don't even want to think about this.
Okay, I figured... I'm trying to find something that you're interested in because clearly Pony Hinge is not it.
Well, Pony Hinge is kind of interesting just because it's a collection of those kind of things, but then, it's like, okay, cool.
Yeah, I just found it was odd. You will like this. This is a throwback from several years ago, but police caught the man who was on the run for several months, who was tagging the word penis man on several locations in Temple, Phoenix with graffiti. And I have to admit, I'm looking at this guy's picture. There is a striking Dick Schisler resemblance to this man.
I'm looking. Oh.
A man accused of
Just because he
aggravated
has long hair?
and a beard and looks like he might be 2 or 3 sheets to the wind. Yeah, it does, Dick, just because of all of those things.
Penis man.
A man is accused of aggravated criminal damage after police say he tagged several locations in Temple and Phoenix with graffiti painting the name of male genitalia on buildings. Police took 38. That age sounds awfully coincidental. 38-year-old Dustin James Schromer into custody. This is back in January 2023, so actually of 2020, so he's 42 now. At his apartment near the 67th Avenue and Campbell. They say he admitted to spray painting Penis Man at 15 different locations at Arizona State University, in Temple, as well as A Mountain. I don't know what A Mountain is. Fenced public water towers, Hayden Ferry, and the cherry on top, a Chick-fil-A restaurant.
There you go.
Oh, it says City Hall was also tagged.
So he's an artist. I dig it. He's an
I mean,
artist.
I guess I kind of dig the bit though, because it's not really necessarily vulgar, right? I mean, it's not something that if you have your 8-year-old daughter with you and you pull up to a stop sign and City Hall's over there with Penis Man written on it, and she goes, "Daddy, what's Penis Man?" I mean, I agree that's probably an uncomfortable situation, but as far as graffiti goes, it's kind of harmless, right?
Yeah. Well, I mean, any type of graffiti's not.
I'm looking at this
it's a
guy's
pain
picture.
in the butt. So.
Show this guy's picture, dude.
No, I'm not showing his picture.
It looks.
I refuse to.
So just go to the thumbnail and look at Dick. This is what this guy looks like. It says, according to court records, Schomer admitted he knew writing at all these locations was against the law, and he never had permission to vandalize any of these locations. Well, that's your first mistake, dude. You admitted it. You're supposed to say, "What? This is again." I thought this was just frowned upon.
That's funny.
It says they raided my condo and vehicle and swarmed my entire complex in West Phoenix with 25 heavily armed SWAT officers and pointed a silenced assault rifle in my face. Okay, this does sound like a little egregious here for Penis Man. Don't you agree? This looks like some cops with a little too much time on their hands.
They just don't like Penis Man.
Clearly.
Yeah.
I happen to like Penis Man. What say you, Dick?
I mean, if I saw the beauty firsthand, I would have loved it. But there's not any pictures of it. I want to see how big he wrote it.
You're interested in the size of Penis Man,
Yeah.
are you?
Yeah.
I think he's about 5'9".
No, I meant this, like the spray paint or whatever he did.
Uh-huh.
Great. Well, it's like that person who kept going to dealerships drawing penises on the car.
Mm-hmm.
That was pretty funny.
That's awesome. As long as it's not my car. So I asked you a few weeks ago how you were dealing with your new car and having a key fob and being able to remote start and all that stuff. Well, there is a new, ever-increasing popular way to steal cars, and it takes less than a minute, and this is using some reprogrammers. Now, we've talked about this before, how you can get radio frequency decoders, and you can write, like, Penis Man on a sign on the side of the highway instead of saying, like, turn around, don't drown, and it says, like, Penis Man on it or something.
So these guys are stealing
But this
cars.
is basically the latest method for capturing the attention of a car, or car security experts, is called the CAN bus attack. CAN stands for Controller Area Network, and the CAN bus is the auto industry's term used to describe the message-based electronic system that allows various parts of the vehicle to communicate with each other. But basically, the most common thing is that these key programmers will just plug something into the vehicle's diagnostic port or into the CAN bus network, and they have your car's info, basically. Unlock, lock, remote start, roll your windows down. But yeah, less than a minute. I think there's also a way that they can somehow probably stand around your car, outside your car, and wait for you to hit unlock, and they capture the signal. That's another way of locking and unlocking, and thereby stealing your car. You ever worried that's going to happen to you, bud? Or you're like, I don't care.
Go John Wick on them.
Yeah. Okay. All right, man. This is interesting. We got the 10 most stressful jobs and their median salaries. The only reason I bring this up will become very readily apparent to you soon. But this, from CBS News, is the 10 most stressful jobs and their median salaries. Coming in at 10 is a taxi driver at $24,000. Dude, it'd take a lot more money for me to be a taxi driver.
Oh, yeah.
And it's $24,000 is below the poverty line, isn't it? I'm not sure what the poverty line is, but that's got to be lower than it. A senior corporate executive, $104,000. Okay. Seems like it would be probably stressful. You have public relations executive at $111, news reporter, $39, event coordinator at $48. I can imagine event coordinator is stressful because there's something that can always go wrong.
Yeah.
But coming in at number 5, and this is the only reason why I'm doing this, is broadcaster. The 5th most stressful job is broadcast. What we are doing right here on these fine
I'm starving.
airways.
I'm going crazy.
You're
right
super stressed, I can tell.
now. I'm just.
Losing your hair. Oh my gosh. And the average salary is $62,960. Dick, I believe we need to have some renegotiation in my salary. It comes
Fair
in
enough.
just behind police officer. And I have to admit, doing this show with you is awfully stressful.
Yeah. Well, you pick these terrible articles.
I'm trying to fill time. Airline pilot, $111,000, coming in at number 3. Number 2, firefighter, and number 1 is enlisted military personnel of 3 or 4 years with a salary of $26,000. Wouldn't want to do that.
Yeah.
All right, man. Well, I could do one quick hit here, and we can call it a day. This is a fill-in show, so I don't know when it's going to be released. I have a pretty good idea, but with my travels and your schedule, we're going to be busy. We had to put one of these in the can.
Yeah.
We may actually have a week where we don't do a show in October. If that's the case, onesies, I'm terribly, terribly sorry.
I got to go trick-or-treating, dog.
Yes, you've got to do trick-or-treating. You going to dress up this year?
I don't know what I'm doing. Depends on if there's ladies there or not.
Oh, really? And that adjusts your...
Yeah, 100%.
100. Oh, there you go. See, we're trying to attract that younger audience. 100%, bro.
100%,
Cool.
bro.
100. So, okay, let's run through this scenario then. Normal party,
Yes,
you
I
and your
would be naked.
dudes.
I'm going,
No, I mean, like,
going commando.
I'm just wondering, like, if you're gonna do, like, Jason from Friday the 13th or whatever, if it's a bunch of guys, but if it's girls, what are you gonna do? You gonna go as Epstein or something? What are you trying to do here?
Oh, that's a good idea. No, I'll go with Stephen Hawking.
Just got to get a chair,
Yeah.
buzz around,
And just have
that's
the
terrible.
preset, be like, sit on me, and then I sit on me. No.
Pre-recorded, just really inappropriate sayings.
Yeah.
Oh my
no.
God, that's so terrible.
It depends on the weather, really. That's the first thing that dictates.
Assume
what
it's
I
going to be
wear.
hot. It almost always is, man.
So I'll probably wear something a little more breezy.
Something that breathes, huh?
Yeah. I think it'll look good.
Some appropriately placed holes in your britches, huh?
I'll go.
This is just for air conditioning, I promise.
Yeah. I'll go as Caitlin Clark, the basketball player, WNBA basketball player. I think that's what I'll do. What do you think?
I think it's awesome.
Or I could be a female swimmer, wear a one piece, and just have my I'm a collegiate sports
Transgender swimmer.
transgender swimmer. That'd be pretty good.
I like the Caitlin Clark, man. That's pretty. It's pretty good. I like it.
That'd be pretty good. There's a lot of options I got.
Well, I'm glad to see that you're weighing your options here.
Yeah, there's a lot of things I could be doing. What else would be good? What would be like extremely inappropriate this year? I don't really know.
Anything that related with Diddy.
Yeah,
right?
like a bottle of lube.
Yeah, I guess you could go as a bottle of lube, or as he called it, baby oil.
Baby oil, that's what it is.
Thousands of bottles
I
of
like
baby
it.
oil.
Were they used or unused?
I don't know. Does it matter? I mean, I guess it does.
Yeah, I don't really know.
Because if there's a bunch of them, you could resell them, unused ones, and that's Diddy's baby oil, and just make and then the proceeds go out to the victims.
So what I could do is I could also hang myself and be Jeff Epstein. I could do that. The ghost of Epstein.
Yeah, I'm liking the
That
Caitlin
would be
Clark.
good. The Caitlin Clark would be hilarious. Because what I love about that, I wouldn't do anything with my head. I would just wear her jersey and stuff. Like what do you do? I'm Caitlin Clark.
Literally it.
That's it.
I may actually steal that. It's fantastic.
not bad.
It doesn't
Not
work as well for me.
bad.
It works way better for you because you have long hair. That is key. Oh, that's so good.
Yeah, just like a
please
big fan. Big fan.
Please do that. All right, I'm going to omit doing the quick hit here at the end of the story because Dick has lost interest in this show long ago, and that's okay.
No,
Look, man, he's
hungry,
tired.
dog.
He's tired and hungry. We'll talk about where birds go in a hurricane maybe
I like
next
that.
show.
I was really looking forward to that.
Yeah, no, you weren't. Nice try, though.
Well, it's a good question.
As a hurricane marches across the ocean, seabirds also concentrate in the eye of the storm. They get there the same way migrating birds do on land, by flying downwind in the increasing gales that spiraled in towards the storm center until they break into the calmness of the eye, where they then sit down, rest, have a smoke, and wait for the
Fair
storm
enough.
to pass. So basically, they fly with the wind, working their way in, spiraling in until they finally are in the middle of
Where
the
do the
storm.
otters go?
They attack Malaysian women.
They go on a killing spree. That's what they do. Well, thanks for checking out Audience of One. We're here every Friday at 10 a.m. Make sure to look us up on.
I'm so glad we got this show in.
Yeah, we got it. Hey, we did it.
Mostly me just rambling.
Yeah. I'm wondering what I'm going to eat, though.
No clue.
So hungry. Thanks for tuning in, onesies.
That's right, everyone.
Bye.
Till next week. Or not. Maybe 2 weeks. See ya.